Welcome to the Pause Awards show, where we invite past winners and future judges to talk about their journeys, inspirations, and lessons learned in their professional careers and beyond. My name is George Hedden, and I'm a founder of Pause Fest and Pause Awards. Pause Awards are celebrating business achievements of impactful businesses that ultimately go to build better ecosystems. And today, I'm speaking with our awards judges. Welcome, Julie, to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here today, George.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you. I remember we met at event in Byron Bay and really loved chatting to you. You've got amazing positive energy radiating from you. And thank you so much for being part of Pause Awards this year, being a judge. You told me a very interesting story how you just happened to be here in Australia. So I would love to, if you can, share with everybody, why did you decide to stay here after coming here for a holiday for 2 weeks, what you said, and now you're here and doing what you do. And I know you're pretty much recognized in startup ecosystem, in whole Australia, but you're based in Sydney. Can you tell us a little bit about your life in Silicon Valley and what you did, and how come you decided to just stay here and drop everything?
Sure. Well, I was in the Silicon Valley for 20 years. I worked at large tech companies. I worked at small tech companies and startups. I've started my own. And I came to Australia on holiday. And while I was here, I happened into a breakfast in the startup community, as one does when they're on holiday. And I started talking to people there, and they were talking about the Silicon Valley like it was Mecca. And yes, it is big, and it's where things started, and there are a lot of things that have been done well, but there's also a lot of things that I thought could be done better and differently. And I thought that if I moved back to Australia, I might be able to have some impact in helping things move in a different direction that I thought might be more positive. So I went back, I resigned from my job, I wrapped all of that up, I rented out my apartment, I bought a one-way ticket, and here I am. The work that I was doing in the Silicon Valley, I was primarily in product management and product development. And I always think that the product management team, and especially the leaders, at kind of the center of what's being built and how things are going. So I saw a lot, I learned a lot. Probably my most challenging job was running the homepage for Yahoo. Back in the day when it was the #1 page in the world, I was running that globally. And the politics that needed to be done, along with all the new technology that we were building. You know, when I started on that, I'm dating myself a little bit, but the page was flat. We don't even remember flat web pages anymore, where all you could do was click as opposed to having something happen on the page. And we were just starting with that technology of having things that were clickable on the page and having more interactions. So it was an exciting time to be there, an exciting thing to be part of.
Hmm. And how long was this ago when you arrived?
Oh gosh, I arrived in Australia 5 years ago.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I came here, I was on my tourist visa still. So I just started going to startup events and networking and mentoring people, because I was going to events and seeing companies that I knew that I could help. And while I was doing that, Sydney is fairly small compared to what I experienced in the Silicon Valley. I'd start seeing the same people again and again.
Hmm.
And I was tapped on the shoulder to run an accelerator program for female entrepreneurs. So that's how I really started my journey here and really got embedded into the startup ecosystem.
Hmm. That's great. I mean, building the product is it's a fascinating kind of process in terms of getting the right people. What I really liked is you're mentioning like there's so much politics behind one page of who's who makes decisions, who said what goes there, type of stuff, and how everything kind of runs. And it's a very interesting, and that's kind of like what what happens behind the doors. People don't understand the level of politics that goes beyond the product that they're purchasing, a service or whatever that is online. But if that is kind of tuned in, and if people are kind of if the teams are great, then that flows better. And I suppose this is where you come in to help people understand how that symphony could be kind of better.
Exactly. And that's the thing. None of that should ever show, right? Any kind of product or service or, app, whatever it might be that you're offering from a technology standpoint should be of the highest quality and looking like everything is completely intentional and really functioning the way that the user needs it to work.
Yeah. But, to get to that sort of point, it takes time. It takes a lot of effort.
And a lot of trial and error.
A lot of trial and error. Like, I was trying just to remember, there was one of the founders, he said a sort of very interesting comment about sleeping with monsters, or sleeping with a lot of different kind of, just trying kind of a lot of different things, but kind of see what works. So what do you what is that interests you the most about working with people? It seems like you are obviously a people person. You worked in product, you worked a lot with the people, you stayed here because of the people. What particularly attracts you to work with people, and maybe you touched a bit on this point, what particularly made you to stay because of these kinds of people here in Australia that you've met?
Yeah, when you talk about people, I'll talk a little bit about the difference of what I see in business in the United States versus here. In the United States, you have to prove yourself again and again and again. Nobody ever trusts. And I find that people here in Australia are very much willing to say, you know what, we believe you, that you can do what you say you're going to do. And if you deliver, everything's perfect. If you don't, then that's another story. But I love having that opportunity to step up right away and work with individuals and show them that I can deliver. And what I love working with people on now is, I've transitioned out of the pure tech of things, and I'm working with a lot of startups and a lot of founders, and I'm helping them with their mindset. And that's what's really interesting to me, is how can I help people get to the level that they need to really succeed? Because I find when I'm working with founders, it's and teams and whoever it might be, it's very rarely skill set that's holding people back. It's their mindset. And that's what I want to help them unlock, so that they can do everything they want to achieve.
You once said, our minds are like powerful icebergs with the majority submerged and unseen, which is a beautiful thing to say. How do you melt that iceberg to make people recognize what they didn't know about themselves, their potential that is hidden, or they might have kind of worked on it, but they're not sure? How do you help them find that in themselves?
The majority of what's hidden is our subconscious, which we don't have access to, but that really programs how we are and how we think and what we believe. And so it's helping people to see who they really are. It's asking a lot of questions about how they're running their business and what their business is, to help expand their idea of what can be. And it's working on the language with them that they're using as well. As human beings, we have, I think it's like 60 or 80,000 thoughts a day. And a huge percentage of those are negative. And if we're saying to ourselves, I can't do this, then we can't. I don't know if you've heard the saying, you can say you can or you can't, and either way you'll be right. So it's helping people shift that mindset in the words that they're using to really be able to open up and feel confident in what they're doing. And a lot of times that's done through coaching, and sometimes that's delving into that subconscious to get to the root cause of all of that, and done through hypnotherapy sessions.
Yeah, I've got this thought that haven't shared a lot with the people, but I see language as a almost coding language. So it depends which code you use, how do you communicate with the world? That's how you're programmed, basically. And if you sort of related to that, and the operating system of our being, you can recode yourself into whatever you want. You just need to be conscious of what is that you're saying about yourself, how you think, and how you express your feelings and things out. So that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. And a lot of that is we're a product of our environment and what we've been taught and how we've been socialized. And so there might be some
Culture.
things, yeah, that we fully believe or ways that we behave that are out of alignment with our true nature, but we've been so programmed to be that way.
And don't question a lot of the times. Like, this is how I should be, this is what I should do, and I'm just like not even sort of questioning why is this. Yeah, that's the thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and when we can get underneath all of that and really figure it out, we get to a place where we feel more strong and more confident, and we're able to do better, personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm. And so this is also a journey. You're basically trying to get people on a journey to transition from where they were to a better self. And part of that is, as we sort of we're talking now, and you mentioned, is a mindset and behavior change, and that is very hard. That is very hard. It's very sticky thing that people need to snap out of that. And how do you convince people that this is a good thing for them to kind of unstick themselves from these routines that are not great, be it not say certain things about themselves, or change to a healthier diet because that's going to help them with X, or just kind of exercise more, and just change any kind of routine in their day-to-day life, because I know that's very hard. I do that every year, and I know it's like, it feels like a big kind of like wall I'm standing in front, and I need to kind of climb it up. But it is very challenging to a lot of people. How do you go about it with somebody who's like never done it or doesn't understand what needs to change, and how do you guide them through that?
Yeah. So, well, first I'd start out by saying, instead of saying this is hard, I'd say this is something we can do.
Yeah.
This is something we can work on and we can shift. And it's starting as simple as that with the language. And then when I'm seeing a client, we'll start with a conversation so I can get an understanding of where they are and what needs to shift. And then we'll work through to see if this is something that we can continue to have conversations from a coaching standpoint, or if we really need to dig deeper and get into a hypnotherapy session where we're getting to the root cause. And the root cause is something that's hidden in our subconscious that we don't even realize. So sometimes I find people have money blocks they don't realize. So that's actually stopping them from getting them where they need to be, because they're blocked from being able to make money or do things around money. I was working with a client the other day who said, it's really hard for me to get into the spreadsheets and the numbers. And then there was something else that she shared. And I said, this isn't a confidence issue for you. This is a money block. And she thought about it and she's like, right, I was raised believing that people who had a lot of money were bad.
Yeah, right.
And so, and there are just different ways of looking at things. And so it's getting to understand, and it's helping somebody figure out what that block might be. But sometimes we ourselves don't even know. I, as a coach, like, I need to go work with somebody else to figure out what is it that's keeping me stuck right now.
Yeah.
And then we're able to get into that and work through it.
There's a great Sid Maid said once, it's if you could sort of distance yourself into a third person, overlooking yourself to see where you at and how you can better yourself, it is incredible sort of skill that will help you progress and move into the future. But if you can't sort of distance yourself from yourself to see what you do and then understand yourself, that's hard. And that's why we need people like you. That's why we need somebody, a third person, to kind of look into our lives and go like, hey, this is kind of what you could be doing. Um, this is what somebody can do about. But it's very it's very difficult to kind of really fully realize what you're doing wrong, and what are those nuances about particular job or task. And it's
Yeah.
great that you provide that sort of clarity for somebody that's stuck. um, you've answered a few questions that I sent over, and one of your favorite categories this year was Be Good Award. Can you tell me about why?
I was so excited to see that. I have to tell you, I just love the intersection of companies who are doing well and at the same time doing good for the world. So earlier on in my career, I worked for a company called Timberland Eyewear, and the president of Timberland gave a talk saying, you know, we do good by doing well, right? So it's not like we're sacrificing anything, but we're able to do good because we do well as a company. And I think tying the two of those things together is just absolute gold. And we need to start looking at um, how we can all have an impact on the world to make it a better place. So I just absolutely love that there's a category that's really specific to companies that are doing that.
Yeah, that was a category that we introduced last year and was absolutely hit. And most applications were
Yeah.
made last year for that category. So this year we decided to expand a little bit on more sustainability categories, which this one belongs to as well in a way. Very excited about it to see who enters this year. But as you said, it's very important for us. It was that in this day and age, there's a little bit more conscious sort of decision in leadership and how you build a company and what the purpose of it is and what you stand for and how you contribute to, well, building better ecosystems and being good for society, and not necessarily having to be, B Corp or anything like that, but just think about how you can help community and how you can leave a positive impact, and having that sort of mindset around it.
Yeah, and even internally within the team inside, right? Making sure that you're treating people well, you've got open communication, transparency, and all of those things too. Really
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah, definitely. What do you think in specifically what you do, and how you work with people? We award business achievements and milestones on someone's growth and journey, and usually for startups, that's like, give me a bag of cash and give me recognition by that kind of monetary sort of value. Uh, we've got a lot of categories like Be Good and the Defiant ones and the Super Connector, that are more like milestones in someone's journey. How important do you think that is in terms of stimulating a person psychologically for their well-being and productivity in a company, internal team, and all that sort of stuff that potentially a winning award could stimulate for someone that's thinking, oh well, I don't need awards now, I might sort of not worthy enough, or I don't know, why would I sort of enter it, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, or even like the Do You Know Who I Am award, right?
Yeah.
For the unsung hero. And I think it's a really special thing for people to be able to be acknowledged for the work that we're doing. So often we're not. And this is definitely a strong motivator. It's something that feels good, it builds the confidence. And to know that other people out there are recognizing what you're doing and seeing it is it's not just a badge of honor. It's something that really does hit the psyche. And, especially startup founders, like it is tough, right? And there's nobody patting you on the back saying good job because you don't have a boss, you're your own boss. You don't know when to stop at the end of the day because you feel like you always need to keep going and the work's never done. And then it's a roller coaster because there's a good day, there's a bad day. Is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? We're working on something new that's never been done before. It's scary. So to take time out and take a breath and to actually get rewarded and acknowledged for the work you're doing is a really big thing. It really helps to validate and to keep somebody going.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's one of the reasons why I thought it was really good to start these awards for years, and we've been sort of building it now and expanding it and looking into even having IPO and exit is a great sort of thing, but we even have award for that, and definitely for those moments where you fear very low, because you can have very like big highs and very big lows, and when on a big high or any kind of high you just feel like you don't need anything, but when you're a big low and that could go for some time, depends how
Call me, I'll help you with that.
yeah. You need some sort of you need some kind of like pat on the back, you need some sort of support in any way.
The award for pivoting a business, right? How often are you rewarded for that?
No, you don't even like I mean pivoting a business, entire business, or defining new business model, or even trying, which a lot of companies had to do this year. It's phenomenal. And they had to, like a lot of companies I speak to, some of them said like, well, there's a few years of roadmaps that we had to execute literally in 2 weeks. And some certain product features that we thought, oh, maybe this is coming up, but it's not important, it had to happen tomorrow. And these type of things, whether it is a full sort of pivot and twist, or it was just, oh, we kind of needed to expedite and accelerate these particular features and deliver different product or more sort of features in this product, is what this category is for. But exactly like that, this year and last year in particularly forced people and companies to kind of really think about, what marketplace am I in now? My marketplace is gone. People need now different things, and I have to sort of adapt my product and services to that. And who awards for that? Not many.
Exactly. But that's also a beautiful thing. Like if I look at the positives coming out of COVID, it's taught us to think differently, and that we can act quickly when we need to. It doesn't mean we should be on high alert 24/7, 365, but it teaches us that we can ebb and flow in a different way and really react quickly, or think about things in a way we hadn't been before, really thinking outside of the box, or I think we'd say here, outside of the square. We have more permission to do that on a daily basis now, which I think is really wonderful.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the positives that came out of this pandemic, that it does give us permission to do things faster and move on and find our new customers, because a lot of customers have changed their behaviors, and businesses had to shift, and we award for that.
Yeah, amazing, good stuff.
Thank you, Julie, for being with us today. It's a pleasure to chat to you. And lastly, I would like to ask you about that book in the background you have, Found.
Yes, Found, swiping right on Me to Find Love. That's part of what I've been working on in the past year. So I just launched that back in February, and it's all about kind of a funny, witty tale, highly relatable, I'm told, about finding yourself and dating after divorce, and what online dating is looking like these days. So
a lot of pivoting.
Yes.
And swiping.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, anybody interested in that could check it out for sure. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to have you work with you. The judging will be happening this October, so there's still quite a bit of away. 16th of July is the early entry deadline for everybody that wants to kind of get their submissions earlier. Thank you for your time. Look forward to speaking more.
Absolutely. My pleasure.